Hey, mighty man of God, it's Dr. Joe here with Real Men Connect, where we help good men become great men, and we help them do it God's way by providing them with real answers to real problems in the real world. Welcome to the Real Men Ride Along. Obviously, I'm not in my car, so I'm here sitting in my office, and I was, just taking a day off and just kind of sitting around the office to see if I can catch up on stuff. And I started thinking about something. I don't know why this random thought just came to my head. I guess maybe because I work with so many men. I don't know if you're a subscriber to this channel or listen to our podcast, which is the top rated podcast on iTunes for Christian men. So if you haven't checked that out, please go download that. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that. I'm not here as much as I should be, but we try to be here on a consistent basis, at least once a week, to churn out a video that can possibly help you in the real world. And I guess, I don't know if this is a lesson more so than, well, I guess it is a lesson. Are you guilty of daughter slandering? Now, I probably think I'm lost my mind. He said, Joe, what did you just ask me? I said, are you guilty of daughter slandering? And I know the first thing you're thinking, well, what in the world is daughter slandering? Well, exactly what it sounds like. You are slandering somebody's daughter or your own daughter. But in this particular case, I'm referring to a specific daughter, and that's God's daughter, who maybe, and if you're married, I'm talking about your wife. And it could even be your ex-wife or your girlfriend. Are you guilty of slandering God's daughter? Now, I know that even sounds kind of jarring, because I hope it does jar you. Because being a man who mentors and disciples and coaches hundreds of men, one of the things I'm noticing as a trend when I talk to men is that they tend to talk negatively about their wives, about their girlfriends, about the women in their life, about their mothers. And what I think they fail to understand, or what they fail to hear, is what they're saying. Now, it doesn't mean what they're saying is not legitimate, and I'm not even talking about when they're confiding in me, but I'm talking about when they do it in a public setting. And you know what I'm talking about, is when you're going on social media, you're talking about what your baby mama is doing, you're talking about what your ex is doing or what she did, or what your wife is currently doing that's getting on your nerves, that's rubbing you the wrong way. And then we find ourselves putting them down or casting a bad light on them. And now, I'm human just like you. I'm a man just like you. A lot of times my wife gets on my nerves. But we have to be very careful on how we respond to the public in light of and in reference of our wives. One of the things we should not do is what I call uncover our wives. Uncover our wives. And what I mean by that is to cast such a light that it is embarrassing to them, that it opens them up to the enemy, an attack from the enemy, whether it be from people who are now siding with you and now are against her, or men out there who are lurking to see if they have an end to get to your wife because they see that you guys are having some issues. So a lot of times we're not thinking that we're uncovering our wives when we do that. So I guess that's one of the reasons why we shouldn't do it, is because when you do that, you are spiritually uncovering your wife and you're subjecting her to the enemy. It's the equivalent of going into, saying, inviting a burglar into your home and say, take what you want, anything you want in my house, starting with my wife. And so we don't want to do that. But I put down some other reasons why we need to refrain from what I call daughter slandering. And I made up this term. Who knows? It might catch on and people might start using it. But here's some basic stuff. Let's start with some common sense stuff. Now, on the spiritual side, you don't want to uncover your wife, but let's start with some common sense stuff. Do you realize that if you're in a relationship, whether it be with your ex-wife or your current wife or a girlfriend, when we do public daughter slandering, do we realize we're casting them in a bad light, but that light also reflects on us? And what it reflects on us is that we are poor decision makers. Now, let that sink in for just a second. That we are poor decision makers. Because guess what? Who picked the woman that we're complaining about? We did. So at the minimum, common sense wise, tells us that we shouldn't talk about somebody who we chose, because that reflects poorly on us as well as them. So the common sense approach that is reflects poor decision making on our part. Here's another reason why we need to stop daughter slandering. Is because We're talking about God's daughter. Think about this. We're not talking about somebody else's daughter. We're talking about God's daughter. Now, I know you may have seen her dad here on earth, but we're talking about her father in heaven. And God has made all of us in the image of himself. I'm his child. You're his child. Your wife or ex-wife or girlfriend is his child. Now think about this. Remember when you were dating your wife or dating your ex and you finally met their parents? Did you go in there talking negatively about their daughter? Let me tell you how jacked up your daughter is, man. Your daughter, you did a horrible job with this girl. Man, she is bat crazy. She don't know what she's doing. Man, I don't know how you put up. Did you say that? No, you wouldn't dare disrespect that father. Even if you believe that. First of all, if you believe that, you wouldn't even been at home trying to win his daughter's hand. But you wouldn't do that because out of respect for him, even if you did believe it. Because you wouldn't dare do that and say that about his daughter. You wouldn't want another man to say it about your daughter. So how much more do you think that offends the Spirit of God and grieves God when we talk negatively about his daughter publicly? So that's another reason why we need to refrain and stop this daughter slandering. Now, you can confide in a friend that you're struggling with your wife, your girlfriend, or whatever, but it should be between people who you can trust and who know you, not on social media, not at a public forum, not at a party, not in a place where you're around your family reunions when they don't know your wife that well and she's not there to represent herself. We shouldn't do it publicly. We should keep it private, one-on-one, small knit people who we can trust, who will also call us out when we're doing it the wrong way. So we don't do it because it's also God's daughter. But here's the final reason. And I'm not saying, but I think to me that's probably the most important when you're talking about God's child. But here's another reason, and I'll stop it with this one, is that your children will never forget. Let me say that again. Your children will never forget. What we don't understand is that if you're talking about God's daughter, you're also talking about your baby's mama. You can never win if you're talking negatively about your children's mom. Now, obviously, if you don't have any kids, this doesn't even apply to you. But for a lot of you, you know what I'm talking about. Some of you know you have children with these women that you're slandering. We can't do that because these children will never forget. Even if you're, quote, the good guy, what they're going to remember is how bad you talked about them. You really want to elevate your status with your kids, even if your ex or your wife or whoever, what other woman in your life that you have a kid with, you want to really elevate your status with your children. Let them always see you covering your ex, your wife, your girlfriend, even if you're being mistreated. Even Jesus told us in the Beatitudes that blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake. In other words, you're not doing it because it feels good. You're doing it unto the Lord to cover her and protect her because you're trying to prevent daughter slandering. And so your children will always remember, boy, mom or whoever really didn't treat dad right or didn't treat him right, but yet he never retaliated. He never tried to get revenge. He never put her down. It's amazing the level of respect you will receive from your kids. Because guess what? As they get older, all the stuff you're saying about their mama, they're going to see it too. They're going to see it too. Unless she does a heart transformation, they're going to see it too. And guess what? Then they can judge for themselves. But also you're training your child up too, that when you don't agree with someone, you don't go out there slandering their name and bashing them and putting them down and making them look bad. What you do is you take the high road, son, daughter, and you cover them, you pray for them, you forgive them. You're training your children up in the way they should go so when they get old, they don't depart from it. And you want to start by covering their mom. There's no benefit from daughter slandering. It's unproductive and it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't do anything for the kingdom and it doesn't do anything for your children and your family. So I'm hoping that this helps. If it does, please share this video with another brother who you know may be guilty of daughter slandering, and he just may be unaware of it. Share this video with him so he can listen to it, watch it, and learn from it. And maybe he can stop that and maybe ask God for forgiveness. So God says, okay, I'll give you grace and mercy from that. Now sin no more. Please share that with him, because you remember what we always say, that we are males by birth, but we are men by choice. So each and every day, choose to be the man that God has called and created you to be, because a male is a terrible, terrible thing to waste. So until next time, hopefully I'll see you and talk to you soon. God bless. Stay in his grip.